All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in here. It's Austin City Limits Radio, and we are on with Pam Bixby, who is with the League of Women Voters. She's the VP of Voters Service for the League. Hello, Pam.
Hi, thanks for having me.
The reason we've invited Pam on is we've caught wind that amongst all the great things that the League of Women Voters do is helping with making sure that there are plenty of folks to work at the polls. As we approach a super duper important election. Now is the time that if you're thinking about, if you'd like a nice concrete way to get involved and help make sure it all goes smooth, perhaps working as a poll volunteer, a poll worker is the way to do it. And so, Pam, tell us about what you guys project right at this moment to be your needs in that department for the November election.
Absolutely. Well, of course, the counties are the ones that officially, recruit and employ the poll workers. Right. However, we as the nonprofit who's very involved in election, all things elections, we have helped promote their recruitment efforts. We have an intake form on our website. We talk about it in every presentation that we do, and we send people over to Travis County. Of course, we operate in Travis and Williamson counties, and Wilco also has an election recruitment, poll worker recruitment intake form there. Essentially, as we all know, most of the people who work the polls tend to be retired because they have the time, and early voting is a good long time, a couple of weeks, and that takes a lot of time. And election day itself is a very long 14 to 18 hour day. Sure. So not everybody can do it. But because a lot of those folks who are in that high risk category for COVID have opted not to do it, we are in a very big push to get election workers. I have heard that it's going gangbusters. I mean, I've heard from our Travis County folks, our elections division, that, there's a lot of people who are signing up to do it. So I don't know. I actually don't know where they are yet. Right. It's still the if you go on votetravis.com, the intake form there is still up and there's no deadline. So okay. I would say, like, if you want to do it, and especially if you want to pick the precinct, if you want to be in your neighborhood, where your friends might be going to vote, then you want to do it fairly soon so that you can get the precinct that you want.
Of course, there are going to be different districts and precincts where the need is going to be greater than others. So you should be prepared to go where you're needed. And I would say that even if there's a lot of feedback in this regard, which I hope there is, especially with our younger folks out there, I would say we need a bench of about 2 or 3 deep across the board to make sure that all of this goes well.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And can I tell you a quick story?
Yeah.
So I served as an election judge in the runoff election in July, and I didn't know at the last minute if I would be able to serve because I had been exposed to someone with COVID. And so that happens at the last minute. Someone's sick, and then so they have, like you said, a bench of people ready to pull off at a moment's notice. And so, yes, they'll want to have multiples more people signed up.
I think, about this time, probably 6 months ago, as the pandemic was kind of cranking into gear, everybody was probably thinking, well, I'll vote by mail this time. And I know a lot of people, had planned on doing that. And there are, of course, lots of people who need to do that for a variety of different reasons. We were just talking about both of our college kids, both of whom are probably good candidates for that. However, it's looking like this, we've heard all about the problems, real or not, or imagined or potential about, with the U.S. Postal Service as far as getting ballots in on time. That makes having an adequate situation on the ground with the actual live polls that much more important, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And in fact, I'm even telling my friends who are over 65 who, are talking about getting a ballot by mail, I advise them just go early. I mean, the early voting period is now extended, so it begins October 13th.
Right.
And you can go to any polling place in the county. You don't have to go to any specific place. Any place where there's a sign that says vote here or vote aquí. You can go in and vote, and it is very safe. They're not holding, they're not putting polling locations in grocery stores or places
Right.
where it's very hard to socially distance. They're picking all new places, right? And so there are multiple levels of safety at polling locations, and it is very safe. And that's what I recommend. Stay out of the fray with vote by mail if you can, and take advantage of that early voting period.
So walk me through the scenario where our efforts are not successful, where we have suddenly there's a shortage of poll workers. What happens in that situation?
All hell breaks loose. No. Well, you know what? That actually did happen back in March during the primary. A lot of people didn't show up.
Right.
And so poll locations opened late. Some poll locations open late because they can't open up if they're not fully staffed.
Right.
And there's a certain period of time you have to get there ahead of time to set up all the machines and get it all going. And so they opened late. And we do not want that to happen for the November election. The traffic is going to be much greater. We know it's going to be a heavy voting season, and so we do not want that to even be an option this time.
Right. And what better time, of course, there's an enormous amount of effort out there to get young people who maybe didn't even vote before to at least go and vote. What better way to even step that, effort up and really, put your money where your mouth is and really stand up for democracy than as a young person, as a 25 or 22, however. What's the minimum age of being a poll worker? Do you happen to know that?
I think you have to be 18.
I would think 18.
And
Okay.
and it's not a volunteer job. I mean, you get paid. I believe it's $12 an hour.
That's right. I keep saying that.
That's awesome. And here's what I will say. I started serving as an election judge a couple years ago. It's fascinating. I mean, it's an exhilarating day. You feel like you're a part of it. You learn how the system works. You understand more about the security of your ballot. You understand like all the checks and balances that are put in there. There's all kinds of seals that are, that have to be recorded, and there's 3 Republicans and 3 Democrats, and there's all these checks and balances in the system, and it makes you feel better about election security and about how we're all just working toward the same end, which is a safe and secure election. And it takes kind of that that fear mongering out of it when you're there in the poll place and you can see how it works.
There's fear, I think, on both sides of the aisle. I think there's one side that is afraid of fraud. There's another side that's afraid of things being cooked up one way or the other, or a lack of access to voting, that we've been talking about with the slowdown of the mail service. So what better way to be a total authority on this than to actually get in there and participate yourself? So again, how do folks get with you guys and get this ball rolling, Pam?
You can visit our website, which is lwvaustin.org/poll worker if you want to get directly to our intake form. And while you're on our site, there's information there. We have a link to a presentation that we just did on voter registration, education, and participation. So you can get all kinds of extra information on our website. That's lwvaustin.org/poll worker. Or you can go straight to the horse's mouth and go to votetravis.com. And you can find out more information about voting for Travis County there.